Hi guys! So, back in October 2015, I went to the movie theaters all by myself for the very first time. Usually, I go with a friend or with one of my parents or with a significant other, but for some reason, I could not get anyone to see this movie in particular. I guess most of the people that I know aren't really all that chill with going and spending their Friday night seeing a movie where people get ripped apart and eaten on screen. But that's my ideal Friday night. I don't know what's up with all these other people. Anyway, yes, back in October 2015, I saw The Green Inferno, directed by Eli Roth. This movie follows a young girl named Justine who joins a political activist group on her college campus because she sort of has the hots for the guy who runs the group. This group ends up traveling to the Amazon to try to save a tribe from having their habitat destroyed by a logging company. And of course, it wouldn't be a cannibal movie if these people did not have their plane crash and end up being captured, tortured, and eaten by the same tribe that they tried to save. Of course, this concept isn't very new. You can kind of tell the whole kidnapped by cannibals plot line thing has been used a couple of times before. Of course, you think of Cannibal Holocaust, which was pretty much the inspiration for this movie, and you can tell there are certain elements of Cannibal Holocaust in The Green Inferno. Director Eli Roth has even stated the Cannibal Holocaust being the inspiration for this movie, and it's one of his favorite movies in general. You can also think of the Wrong Turn series or The Hills Have Eyes. Obviously, this is sort of a tired concept if you think about it. And I didn't get to see this movie for a couple of weeks after it was released theatrically, so I was seeing people's posts on Tumblr and on Twitter, and people were making this movie out to be like it was the worst movie that you could possibly see. They were making it out to be as bad as a Serbian film, which if anyone has seen a Serbian film, you know how horrible and messed up that movie has to be. People were saying that other moviegoers were throwing up in the movie theater or that they were leaving mid-movie. So I was expecting, to see something like this or for me to throw up. Which, if you guys know me, I am very, very strong-stomached when it comes to horror movies. I am pretty much immune to gore. Nothing really bothers me. I may have my stomach, feel a little flip-flop, but I've never thrown up or anything while watching a movie. So, I was going into this hoping maybe this would be the first time a movie would ever make me get to that point. I will admit that there was one time in this movie where I gagged. And if you saw the Red Band trailer for this movie, which is the trailer in which they show the first death when they come back to the island, once the cannibals have the group of people back on the island, the first death is in the Red Band trailer. And it's the one where the guy gets his limbs cut off and his tongue and eyes scooped out and eaten on camera. Now, not gonna lie, that is about as sick as it gets, but that's what made me gag. The whole eating the body parts, yeah. Yeah, you would think that I would be ready to see that, considering I knew what I was getting into, and I thought I was going to be okay, but the effects were so practical that it looked so realistic that the Chinese food that I ate before I saw this movie was kind of, starting to come back up a little bit. Ugh. Speaking of practical effects, I have to give this movie a huge bravo for that because they didn't use any CGI, and if they did, it either wasn't noticeable or it was little to none. And if you don't know what practical effects are, it's pretty much using makeup effects or building props instead of using a computer generated image to create your gore. You are actually creating it yourself. This movie does a lot with, ripping body parts apart, showing blood, all kinds of stuff, and it does it well. You have a lot of movies that tend to be pretty bloody, but the blood doesn't look realistic, or, the body parts just look like fake rubber, something you would buy at, like, Spirit Halloween. But this movie does it very, very well. Eli Roth is known for making gory horror movies, and Eli Roth is also known for doing it well. He goes, he goes big. He doesn't go home. If you've seen Hostel or you've seen Cabin Fever, you know that Eli Roth doesn't mess around when it comes to his practical effects and his gore. Now, one thing I will say is that this movie also has the typical dark comedy that Eli Roth tends to throw into his movies, and so people in the theater were kind of looking at me strange because there were some parts where I was laughing. And I was like, guys, it's okay. You can laugh. You're not messed up if you laugh at this cannibal movie. It's alright. You're supposed to laugh. There's supposed to be a few parts where you laugh, chuckle a little bit. So, yeah, I think that the acting was also pretty good. The main girl, the girl who plays Justine, is actually married to Eli Roth in real life, and so originally going into the movie I was kind of scared because I get skeptical when people are cast and they're married or connected to the director or the producer or someone in real life, because usually I'm like, oh, they only got cast for their ties and not for their actual talent. However, the actress who played Justine did a wonderful job. All I can think of is the scene that involves female genital mutilation, which I'm not going to reveal whether or not that happens in the movie. But there's a scene where she's threatened with female genital mutilation because that's a thing that happens in tribes in the Amazon. It's a thing. And she is faced with this situation, and you are actually trembling a little bit. Like, I was kind of squirming because just the thought of that happening in general is just scary. But the way that this woman portrayed fear, it kind of dug into your heart. You're like, yeah, I would probably be reacting the same exact way if I was tied up and possibly about to have, my area cut off. So, yeah, even though this movie was not as intense and in my face and, shocking as I was led on to be, I still had a really fun time watching this movie. I sort of have like a little, secret love for cannibal movies because, like I said, I love gore, I love grossness. So this still was a fun movie to watch. I wouldn't have watched it a couple of times and bought it on DVD if I didn't enjoy it. So, I mean, shock value isn't everything. I still had a great time watching this movie, though I will say, since I'm immune to gore and everything, like I said, it probably wasn't that bad for me, but I will warn you guys, it probably is a little gross and nasty. So I would say check out the Green Inferno. I had a great time. You might want to take a little, throw-up bucket with you just in case. So yeah, this was a pretty fun movie, in my opinion. I really liked it, even though it wasn't as shocking and in your face and disgusting as I was expecting it to be. It was still pretty high up there for, people who actually do get grossed out easily. So I would really suggest seeing this movie, even though the plot isn't all that, special. The acting's pretty good, the effects are pretty awesome, and the gore is pretty decent. I say that because I'm so used to it, I promise. The gore is probably really, really gross. I'm just not fazed by it anymore. So yeah, go check out the Green Inferno. I'll link the trailer and the Red Band trailer down below, so maybe you can check out the scene that grossed me out. So I'm Heaven, I do horror, and I recommend that you check out the Green Inferno if you think you can handle it. Have fun!